will be much better than the elections of the 2011.
We are not there yet. Yes, our GDP has improved, has increased. We know that GDP can increase and poverty can reduce. But I tell you, President Jonathan already knows that this development must be inclusive. And he has started taking such inclusive steps. I think it's 220 billion for micro, medium, and small-scale industry to ensure that nobody is left behind in this democracy.
He briefed newsmen. We take that story from the beginning. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has been urged to ensure uniformity in the application perfection on its usage during the 2015 elections. The Deputy National Chairman of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Prince Uche Secondus, gave the advice when he briefed newsmen at the party's secretariat in Abuja. Political correspondent Femi Johnson reports.
Reacting to the test conducted by Independent National Electoral Commission last Saturday, the PDP Deputy National Chairman says the party observed that there are 3 fingerprint sensitivity setting of the card reader. The high sensitivity, he noted, makes the accreditation difficult, while the low sensitivity makes it very easy. He therefore enjoined INEC to look into the complaints, particularly the technical details.
Our major worry is that these card readers should be in perfect condition. It's been tested. It's been proved that there are challenges. So we ask INEC to resolve those challenges and come out with perfect machines or card readers for the use. This is the first time the country will try this technology. So you can't say there will be no error. Our major challenge is to make sure that there are no errors, no one is shortchanged in this process.
While stating that the issue of voting should not be politicized, he says INEC needs to do in-house review of the exercise for effective application. INEC is to meet resident electoral commissioners across the country and also party officials this week as part of efforts towards reappraising the smart card reader. In Abuja, Femi Johnson, NTA News.
And reactions continue to trail the smart card reader field testing by the Independent National Electoral Commission as part of preparations for the general elections. The latest is coming from the Youth Interactive for Advocacy, Growth and Advancement, which monitored the exercise at the 12 designated locations in the country. Kemi Fakeye has the details.
The group says it deployed 195 observers for the exercise, and they used specially designed checklists to track the functionality and processing speed of the card readers. Low turnout of eligible voters, double verification, wrong configuration, data transmission snags were some of the challenges observed.
Based on observer reports, 75% of polling units observed reported that the card reader machines declined fingerprint authentication. Some polling units recorded 100% non-authentication of fingerprints.
Whatever challenge that the card reader and the PVC poses will not be more than the challenge that and the fraud that our electoral system has been in time past. And the earlier we start eliminating the human element in the way we conduct our elections.
The group, however, advised the Independent National Electoral Commission to embark on massive public education on the card reader, improve the technical capacity of polling officials, and ensure that its voter registry and ICT departments run checks of voter registry and data bank to ensure fingerprints match voter information details on the card reader machines. The group expressed its conviction that the card reader, if properly managed, has the potential of preventing electoral malpractices during voting. Kemi Fakeye, NTA News.
From the National Assembly comes a report that the Senate has formally commended the gallantry exhibited by Nigerian armed forces in liberating most of the communities under the control of Boko Haram in the northeastern part of the country. This followed a point of order raised by Senator Maina Maji Lawan from Borno State on the successes recorded by the military on the renewed onslaught against the terrorist group. National Assembly correspondent Adamu Sambo has the details.
Senator Maina Maji Lawan, known to have been very critical of the fight against terrorism in the past, was quick to point out that apart from Bama and Goza, all the lost territories to the insurgents have been reclaimed, describing the situation as heartwarming and a thing of pride.
We'll continue to cooperate with our troops. We appreciate their efforts and we ask that they continue this patriotic drive to reclaim all Nigerian territory.
And that is for us to show total appreciation for what has been happening, not only in Nigeria, but also to Chad and Niger.
Even political activities have started picking up in those areas. As a barrack boy, I'm proud of the Nigerian Armed Forces.
This is one thing that has united all Nigerians now. For Mr. President, something to be applauded, and for the PDP.
The Senate President David Mark, who was also full of praises to the Nigerian military on the successes recorded so far in the fight against terrorism, directed the Committee on Defense and Army to pass the message of appreciation of the Senate to the armed forces.
Clearly, with the right platform, the armed forces in this country will prove themselves that they are worthy of the international reputation that they've earned.
The Senate also adopted the Conference Committee report on the INEC Act Amendment Bill 2015, seeking to improve the legal framework for the electoral process.
It further ensures a level playing field for all participants in the electoral process, more transparent process of conducting election.
Meanwhile, the 2015 budget proposals of 60.2 billion naira for the Nigerian Communications Commission and 16.1 billion naira for the Universal Service Provision Fund, recommended by the Communications Committee led by Senator Gilbert Naji, were approved by the Senate, with a warning by the Senate President that the rate of drop calls by service providers is unacceptable.
I'm beginning to take it for granted that no matter the quality of the services they provide to Nigerians, that Nigerians don't have an option. We have an option, and the option will be that NCC must sanction those whose services are below the required standard.
4 other reports were received by the Senate, including the one by the Committee on Power, chaired by Senator Philip Aduda, on the Electricity Management Services Authority Establishment Bill 2015. In Abuja, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
And the House Committee on Health has expressed displeasure over the inability of agencies under the Ministry of Health to reflect the bulk of its financial records in the documents presented. National Assembly correspondent Ifeanyi Okafor has details of this presentation and that of the Federal Ministry of Works.
In the 2015 appropriation bill of the Federal Ministry of Health, 232.5 billion is for personnel, while 4.4 billion is for overhead costs. The ministry proposed 6.3 billion for capital expenditure for year 2015. The committee drew attention to some issues in the past 2014 budget.
I'm sure you know that the Fiscal Responsibility Act stipulates that when you are bringing budget by appropriation, you should also bring budget of other agencies that are not backed by appropriation.
For the National Food, Drug Administration and Control Agency, NAFDAC, the total budget was 14.37 billion. Internal revenue generated was 8.8 billion. Overheads at 5.48. Capital expenditure 3.8 billion and 5 billion for personnel. For the 2015 budget defense for the Ministry of Works, 39.57 was proposed by the minister. 11.2 for capital budget and 7.6 for personnel.
The counterpart funding requirements have to be met in order for us to be able to access funds that are already domiciled in the bank here in Nigeria to complete our ongoing RSDT projects.
The minister said provisions for diversification of funds has been made to avoid challenges of the previous year. From the National Assembly, Ifeanyi Okafor, NTA News.
In the face of serious global security challenges, the 2015 Commonwealth Day celebration has been dedicated to the youth with the theme, A Young Commonwealth, New Generation, New Ideas. Franka Uzoma Olua examines this year's celebration in regard to challenges of Nigerian youths.
Second Monday of March every year is celebrated as the Commonwealth Day. Reading the message from Her Majesty the Queen, who is head of the Commonwealth, the Clerk of the National Assembly, Alhaji Salisu Abubakar Maikasuwa, says the Commonwealth theme for 2015 recognizes the capacity, contributions and potentials of young people who play a vital role at the heart of sustainable development and democracy.
As a concept that is unique in human history, the Commonwealth can only flourish if its ideas and ideas continue to be young and fresh and relevant to all generations.
In these days of multilateral diplomacy, no country can afford to go it alone.
As young Commonwealth members, we can impact, we can make a change, we can make a difference.
As the national branch of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, Nigeria's National Assembly had over the years organized special activities for students and young persons with the aim of promoting and deepening democracy across the country. National Assembly, Aishatu Zango Abdullahi, NTA News.
That report was by correspondent Aishatu Zango Abdullahi. This is the news on NTA International, coming to you live from Abuja, Nigeria's capital city, for a review of the top stories. You heard that at the PDP Governors Forum in Lagos, southwest Nigeria, the forum enjoined the United States and other countries to give Nigeria full support in the fight against Boko Haram. We also reported that the Senate has formally commended the gallantry of the Nigerian Armed Forces in liberating most of the communities under the control of insurgents in the northeast of the country. News coming after the break. Comprehensive review and appraisal on Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action on Status of Women opens in New York. And Nigeria embarks on education data survey, trains collectors in Kaduna. Stay tuned for details of these and more.
What is your stake? See your leaders embracing one another. But see you planning to kill and maim on their behalf. My brothers and sisters, shine your eyes. They have written your names on the sand of time. And you don't even have your name on a piece of paper. Generations will live to remember them, but who will remember you? Now you're ready to kill and be killed for them. If you die, they will still be alive to recontest again. Be warned, say no to electoral violence. This message is from the National Orientation Agency, NOA.
In 2012, the Nigerian government reduced the amount of subsidy paid on petroleum products and chose to invest its 41% share of the safe subsidy funds into the Subsidy Reinvestment and Empowerment Program, SUREP. Today, we'll look at the numbers. SUREP has achieved 50% decrease in maternal mortality rates and 40% decrease in neonatal mortality rates in Nigeria. Over 8,500 skilled workers have been employed for public works. Over 1,000 mass transit buses have been provided for the public, and 40 Priority 1 roads are undergoing maintenance throughout the country. SUREP has created 185,000 jobs, placed over 20,000 graduates in the Graduate Internship Program, and trained over 1,000 auto technicians at the National Automotive Council. 1,200 health facilities have been supplied with drugs and medical equipment. 520,000 pregnant women have received care, resulting in over 100,000 deliveries in SUREP MCH facilities. These are just some of the ways SUREP is making life better for you and I.
SUREP, delivering service with integrity.
Thanks for staying with us. President Goodluck Jonathan has approved the appointment of a new chairman for SUREP following the expiration of the tenure of the incumbent General Martin Luther Agwai Tuesday. He is Mr. Ishaya Dare Akau, who has served as chairman of the National Assembly Service Commission with years of experience as a high-level administrator in the nation's public service. Mr. Akau is from Jama'a local government area of Kaduna State and holds bachelor's degrees in arts and law. The special advisor to the president on media and publicity, Reuben Abati, says President Jonathan is thankful to the outgoing chairman of SUREP for his service to the nation and wishes General Agwai well in his future endeavors. The Institute for Peace and Conflict Resolution has called on Nigerians to consider the implications of violence as the 2015 general elections approaches. At the premiere of an American movie titled Selma in Abuja, the lessons for peace were re-echoed. Correspondent Oyinaya Kalu Oka reports.
Selma, a historical film, is a story of movements that chronicles a 3-month period in 1963 when Dr. Martin Luther King led a peaceful campaign to secure equal voting rights in the face of violent opposition.
There was brutal wickedness, brutal violence against Dr. King and his marchers in Selma, but they decided not to repay evil with evil, but to stand strong.
The Christian Association of Nigeria CAN President Aye Oriso Jafo and the Catholic Archbishop of Abuja John Cardinal Onaekong, who were some of the audience that watched the movie, called on Nigerians to emulate the lesson of peace in Selma.
I believe God that this election will come and go. God will not allow it to go the wrong way, but we must be determined to stand for what is right, not violently, but peacefully.
Those who are asking for violence in Nigeria are few compared to the rest of us who don't want violence. We should join together and stop them.
Selma has a strong message that Nigerians can learn from so that we can conduct ourselves peacefully, non-violently, in the pursuit of our political objectives.
The Institute of Peace and Conflict Resolution is carrying the message of peace to different parts of the Federation through several mediums. In Abuja, Oyinaya Kalu Oka, NTA.
The impact of insurgency and ways to empower women was the thrust of a conversation forum held in Abuja. Correspondent Obiageli Ugoke reports that the consensus among participants is that women, as vital arms of the society, need to be empowered for a meaningful development of humanity.
Insurgency has, without notice, turned several women to widows and hundreds of children becoming orphans who must be catered for. This has also forced women at internally displaced persons camps to resort to begging and sometimes prostitution as a means of livelihood. It is against this backdrop that this forum is brainstorming on ways to empower the women of northeastern Nigeria and to assist them recover from the devastation of Boko Haram insurgency.
We're hearing from different stakeholders that are working in areas of providing succor for people that have been affected by insurgency.
Majority of those who are in those camps, are left in those camps, are women, and they are more vulnerable.
Various recommendations were made towards empowering the women.
If there's a way they can be helped to start doing the things that they are used to doing, it will help a lot.
And trying to give support to women's organizations in order to be able to address this.
We can give some level of microcredit to women in IDP camps.
Discussants agree that to effectively alleviate the plight of these women, government and non-governmental agencies have very critical roles to play. In Abuja, Obiageli Ugoke, NTA News.
The 59th session of the Commission on the Status of Women is ongoing at the United Nations in New York. Adeyemi Omojola Fatoba reports that top on the agenda is a comprehensive review and appraisal of the implementation of the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action.
The 2015 International Women's Day celebration kicked off with a march for gender equality and women's rights in New York City.
We have to fully respect and use the potential of all our women as what United Nations is taking as #1 priority. Where there's gender equality, our economy will grow. Our development will be for everybody.
Delegates at the 59th session of the Commission on the Status of Women, CSW, had presentations calling for a revival of the spirit of Beijing Declaration to tackle the challenges that have persisted since its adoption in 1995. Minister of Women Affairs and Social Development, Ajia Zainab Mina, led Nigerian delegation to the CSW 59th session.
Discrimination against women, violence against women, as well as we are saying that we are making progress in Nigeria with the president that we have, who is very gender sensitive. A lot has been achieved in the area of appointed position for women. A lot has been achieved in the area of empowering women both economically.
Other activities lined up continue. From the United Nations headquarters in New York City, Adeyemi Omojola Fatoba, NTA News.
A national household survey to provide information on educational advancement of the Nigerian child is the focus of the 2015 Nigeria Education Data Survey. Representative of the Chairman, National Population Commission, Usman Jama'a, made this known at an occasion to train data collectors in Kaduna State, northwest Nigeria. Correspondent Abdullahi Suleiman Iyaji reports.
According to the Universal Basic Education Act 2004, which provides for a compulsory and free education for the Nigerian child, basic education is early child care and 9 years of formal schooling. Government has therefore mandated the 2015 Education Data Survey to focus on school attendance and literacy level among children.
The one we are conducting now is particularly on education. So all this, at the end of the whole exercise, whatever result we find out, we send a copy to the National Assembly, to the government. This will assist government in planning for education.
Very important to the development of any economy. It's in fact the building block of any economy. If not well set at the beginning, the whole building or the whole plan for the education sector will crumble.
As part of a global survey program based on the need to supplement existing education data, trainees are lectured on fieldwork exercise for successful information gathering.
For 2015, we are moving from paper and pencil data collection to electronic data collection. This will allow increased accuracy and, most important, timeliness.
It is now over to the trainees at this occasion to rise up to the challenge in providing information that will help in enhancing education in the country. In Saminaka, Kaduna State, I am Abdullahi Suleiman Iyaji, NTA News.
In other news, Ivorian court sentences former First Lady Simone Gbagbo to 20 years imprisonment for her alleged involvement in the 2010 electoral violence. Zambian President Edgar Lungu to seek treatment in South Africa after collapsing at a ceremony in Lusaka. Details with Musa Baba Aliu.
An Ivorian court has sentenced Simone Gbagbo, wife of the former president of Ivory Coast, to 20 years imprisonment over 2010 post-election violence which claimed over 3,000 lives. The court sitting, presided over by Tahiru Dembele, unanimously condemned the action of the 65-year-old former First Lady and pronounced 20-year jail term. Her husband, Laurent Gbagbo, is currently in the custody of the Hague-based International Criminal Court for about 3 years awaiting trial over similar charges. Zambian President Edgar Lungu said Tuesday he would travel to South Africa for specialized treatment after he collapsed at an International Women's Day event at the weekend. Lungu, 58, was discharged from hospital late Monday after a team of 7 doctors attended to him. Lungu won a snap election in late January after the death in office of President Michael Sata in October. Sata was Zambia's second leader to die in office in 6 years, sparking calls for presidential hopefuls to undergo medical checks to guarantee their fitness. Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
In sports, Flying Eagles aim to build an impressive start in Dakar against Congo as Ahmed Sani invites Old War horses for Afro Basket Championship qualifier. These and more with Fisayo.